questions about his record. That's number one. And he would be up on that stage, not against just those people on stage, but against Father Time. I think the contrast between someone who's almost 80 years old and someone who's 44 years old, someone who just does not have it anymore, does not have the stamina to
Yeah, but it's a
stand up.
6'4"
He does
guy
not have
versus
the
a
stamina.
5'6" guy.
He does not have the
DeSantis would
stamina
not
to
want to
stand
stand
up
next
for
to
2
Trump. He'd be
hours.
terrified of it.
He does not have the stamina to stand
Trump
up
is
for 2
not
hours.
6'4", dude.
Let's be
No, he
real. He's
doesn't
got
have the
heart
stamina.
issues,
He
and he
runs a
doesn't have the stamina to
multi-billion-dollar
stand up for 2
business. He's
hours.
sending off 4 witch hunts, and he's running for president. You honestly,
He's got
you
1
believe the
foot in the
stuff you
grave,
say?
1 foot on a banana peel,
That,
and
that's,
he's
you
pretty
hope
hard to
that.
get
That's the only
on
way
the
DeSantis
debate
could
stage.
win. You wish him
wanna ask a
ill,
question
and you
real
wish
quick.
him in prison, because that's
Hang
the only
on.
way you guy can win, and that's why you're slimy. That's why the whole
No, I'm
campaign
looking
is
at
slimy.
the life expectancy in this country, man. For a man his size and a man as fat as he is he's not looking great, right? So he's
I thought
not.
we're
He
supposed
can't
to
stand.
discuss the debate,
He
Suleiman.
physically
Yeah, hang
cannot.
on.
Yeah, let's go to
cut
guys,
He
let's go
physically
to
cannot.
I want to ask.
let's go to
I want to
Ryan.
ask. Hang on. I
They
want to
don't like
ask
to talk
Dr.
about
Gorka
this.
something. Want to ask Dr. Gorka something. So these clips are going to play. I thought there were some good exchanges. I thought there were some interesting things. But come noon or Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, there's going to be a mugshot. What impact do you think that's going to have on the election here?
Well, I'll be selling mugs with his mugshot, and he'll be raising tens of millions of dollars. And we'll see what we see after every indictment, that there will be a jump in fundraising and popularity for the president. I predict that right now.
The
When
grid
you see,
continues.
Too
when the
bad none of
regular
that money's
voter,
going to go to the campaign. It's all going to go to his legal fund.
That's why we donate to him.
Drift on,
You
drift
twit.
on,
That's
brother.
why we donate to him, Tim. It's good. I'm sorry. I said twit. I meant Tim. That's why we donate to him, right? So that he can defend himself against a deep state and rhino pukes like you.
You can donate to him from Mar-a-Lago. He doesn't have to be on the campaign trail. Like, he's not going to be president again. So go ahead and donate to him while he's chilling on his couch in Mar-a-Lago.
I just sent him
Let
2
the big
Bitcoins.
boys
What a big
actually
deal.
run the country.
2
Okay,
Bitcoins,
let's-
that would go beyond your limit there on the FEC there.
Let's
to note.
okay, wait. Let's go to I want to go to Ryan, but I just want to say, Dr. Gorka, I'm really pleased that you actually were giving interviews to British media, because obviously Britain does have some.
Somebody has to.
Yes,
All right,
exactly.
The Brits
Thank you.
want Trump for some reason.
Let's go
but
to
here in
Ryan.
America,
Chris, your
we
name's
want
not Ryan. I'm going to Ryan. Go ahead, Ryan.
Chris, you always talk, bro. Listen, one thing that Chris said that really bothered me, he goes, people from other countries shouldn't be allowed to have an opinion. Khaleesi said it perfectly.
I did not say that. I said they shouldn't be voting.
Yes, you did. You said it here. You said it elsewhere. You guys hate free speech. You said it earlier, too. Khaleesi said he signed away the rights to freedom of speech, and you said, good. That scares the hell out of me. If a guy is willing
glad he went to Israel.
Chris,
no, you just said something wrong about me. I did not say that he did not sign away free speech.
He did.
But I'll tell you what that bill did.
Chris, hold on. Let me finish my thought and then come back.
Chris, I thought you had to leave like 20 minutes ago.
Well, you got to let me reply then.
Chris, I wish DeSantis had enough energy as you did, bro. Maybe he'd get a thought out clearly, or maybe he'd change his tone of voice. He's so damn boring. Maybe you should run it as this body double, man.
That's
Put
all you guys got is that he's boring, but the man is
it's just like name calling and stuff like that.
No, it's not name calling, Chris, because you don't.
Yo, talk to me about his record. Talk to me about
let
his
me
record.
finish. Guys, everyone's had a chance to speak. Ryan's waited very patiently. Let Ryan speak.
You guys get a reply on everyone. Look, the fact that he's willing to sign away our rights as Americans for the rights of a foreign country, and then you come in here and you have the guts to say that people from foreign countries don't have the right to have an opinion.
No, you did not
guys signing our rights away for
like
foreign
that.
countries, bro, and people who aren't here.
You're lying about it. He didn't.
You can spin it just like everything else that you spin, and that's fine. Look,
signed,
I'm not here to defend
a
Trump,
law
but I'm just saying that, look,
an enhancement. If you harass Jewish people, if you harass
what about
Jewish
everybody
people,
else? What about Muslim people? What about Christians?
No, it's all religion.
What about
Chris,
black
I've
people?
read the bill. Chris, I've read the bill.
Chris, we get it, bro.
I happen to agree with him on it.
He's beholden to his biggest
So I'm trying to
donor.
understand what Ryan is
He
arguing.
has to cock for them, bro.
Ryan, what are you arguing?
I'm arguing the fact that Ron DeSantis is willing to sign away our rights as Americans for certain groups of people who are willing to sign a check. He can be bought, and you cannot have someone who can be bought in the White House. I'm sorry.
No, be clear, be precise. What are you saying? What did he do? How did he sign away our rights as Americans?
Okay, Ryan's glitched. Let's go to Brick. Brick, go ahead.
Yeah, you can't answer that because it didn't
No,
happen.
you can. I'll bring it back up in a second, but go ahead, Brick.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask, he's had a lot of time to talk, so maybe keep the answer short, Tim, but I do want to answer this question. I saw a clip that Raheem posted earlier today that was of a space in which DeSantis supporters were talking about the prospect of President Trump not being the nominee. And for those of you who didn't see it, basically the premise is this, is there was a very distraught woman talking about how we can't let President Trump be the nominee, and that if he is the nominee, I would rather us just not have a nominee and let Biden win the White House. Now, my personal philosophy here is that if by some miracle, some fair set of circumstances, President Trump is not the nominee, I'm still going to support the Republican nominee. And when I say fair circumstances, I say that only to rule out shenanigans at a national convention at the last minute. I fully expect that he will be our nominee. But my question is, as I saw that clip, both Chris and Tim were there, and they were throwing up approval at that sentiment. So I'd like to ask both of you, would you support President Trump if he is the nominee?
I'll never
Everybody
support
knows how I
that
feel
man
about
again.
that.
Never.
Absolutely not. Not a chance
Absolutely
in
not.
hell. Not a
Bought
single
and
chance.
paid. Bought and
After
paid.
his behavior,
That's what Bill
absolutely
Mitchell
not.
said back in the day,
So
right?
let me
let me
explain
say-
Lincoln
why.
Club's not going to
Before
have you,
asking that
Tim.
question, you should allow me to explain why in like 30 seconds.
They call him now, right?
I can explain why in 30 seconds. Listen, man, the game is chess, not checkers. We have a bona fide loser, and
It was a yes/no question. It wasn't to give you 30 seconds. You've had plenty of time. I think the host can move on to someone else.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and answer it. Unless you want to kick me, host. I'll take 30 seconds to answer that real quick.
20.
Listen, okay, cool. We have a bona fide loser. We have who has a cult around him. He is not answerable to the American people. He's not correctable by the American people because of his
So
cult.
a group of
So
DeSantis supporters who say that they won't go for a nominee, that's
because
not a
I
cult.
understand, because I
we're a
understand my
cult,
civics,
we're
because I
domestic
understand my
terrorists, we're
civics, I
evil.
understand that we have
This is the DeSantis push.
because I
Insult
understand my
you,
civics,
but
I
pretend
understand
you're
that we
mad.
have three
That's their push.
co-equal branches of government, and I am more than happy to support the legislative branch and the judicial branch. But I'm not going to go
So
ahead
then you
and
love
put.
Paul Rudd.
I'm not going to go ahead and
Everything you
put.
said
I'm
negates
Let
not
him
going to go ahead
finish
and put the
talking,
cult.
guys. We got you some
You
time.
love
Hang
all
on.
these
I'm not going to
politicians.
go ahead and
You
put the
love the
cult in
policy
charge of the
executives.
executive branch so that we can spend the next 4 years talking about how the election was stolen. He's going to lose
Well, in my
anyway. But
opinion, a group of DeSantis supporters sitting around talking about how they'd rather not have a nominee at all if the nominee is President Trump. That's kind of indicative of cult behavior to me.
that's
And they're
not
I'll say
fascists.
as
They're
a
Nazis.
supporter. Hey,
We're
let
not
me
going
say,
to
discernment.
I'm not going to
Listen,
support it.
host privilege here. I have to go here soon. As a DeSantis supporter, I will tell you that if President Trump is the nominee, I will vote for him. But you notice the question that they gave to the nominees, to the candidates up there, wasn't simply that. It was, if he's convicted and he's the nominee, will you support him? And I think that was the hesitation. It is a valid concern. I don't think we can just brush it away to say that if he is convicted, he can still be the nominee. And I will put to this just my insight, and I'll mute people here a second. My thought is, the people that we're debating and the leaked documents that we've seen from both the DeSantis camp and other camps as well have shown that these are people running with the notion that he is not going to be the nominee for whatever purposes whatsoever. Again, don't confuse a constitutionally mandated election with party politics nominations. Those are two very different things, and I'll unmute for comment here.
Khaleesi, have you got the next clip you wanted to play?
Yeah, I have. I'll play it.
If Trump's the nominee, we are absolutely screwed. There's not a chance that he is going to win, and we're just going to have to deal with 4 years of Biden or whatever, and then hopefully get it right in 2028. But I mean, we don't have a
You're
mulligan.
the
We don't
guy
have
who
time.
thinks Biden's
This
going to
is a
last 40
layup.
years. Listen.
Let Khaleesi play. Khaleesi,
No one's taking you seriously.
Please,
No
Whether
one's
it's
taking
Biden
you
or
seriously.
Gavin Newsom.
Chris,
Okay.
you need to please stop jumping in, bro. Let us get some structure in this. Let Khaleesi play the clip, and then you can make the same comment again. Khaleesi, go ahead.
Yeah, you can tell us how Biden's going to last 4 years. Okay, here you go.
Probably. It's interesting, though, because you spent a lot of your career in television. Yeah. You had a top show in television on NBC. But you don't feel the need now running for president to do television, obviously. Do you think television is declining?
long ago. I will say this: it could come back, but they just don't have a lot of credibility. Tucker, you know that perhaps better than anybody. I think it was a terrible move getting rid of you. You were number one on television, and all of a sudden we're doing this interview, but we'll get bigger ratings using this crazy forum that you're using than probably the debate or competition.
It's interesting though because you spent a lot of.
There we go.
So again, the clips we're playing is upstairs, up on the Nest, so you can check them out. In terms of this specific one, Ryan, I know. Again, like
Ryan's on listeners, I think, Suleiman, you have to bring him back up, please.
That's how Ryan. I'm talking about the other Ryan. I'll bring the other one up once Justin leaves. But Ryan, the question to you is, irrespective, I know like the DeSantis fans are going to say like the debate was the most watched thing in history, and then the Trump fans are going to say that look, this was the biggest watched Twitter stream ever, or most watched on any platform ever. So I get the argument because each person's got their own side, but specifically his point about people not trusting terrestrial TV, people looking for alternative media, looking for alternative sources. That is something that I think both sides can agree on. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, when you look at, the demographics of social media right now, you have people like Fauci and Kai and all these other, streamers getting kick deals for $150, $200 million. Cable TV is done. People are looking at social media more than they are on their TV. I don't even have cable. I've never had cable since I moved out of my parents' house like 10, 15 years ago, right? So, it's one of those things now where it's like you can get this stuff wherever you want it, on your phone, your iPad, your laptop. So it's not really a big deal for me. I think a lot of the younger generation respect the fact that people are coming to social media. I think the Tucker interview was historical because we've never seen this before, right? You have a bunch of candidates on stage. I think Vivek was a star tonight. I really do. And, he's always been someone who I was, sort of looked at as someone who was different from the rest, even when he was before running for president. So I think that this is a perfect opportunity. I think that this is I would even say grand opportunity for candidates to learn from this because it's going beyond cable. People want to see the candidate in raw footage. They want to learn somebody who isn't just on a debate stage arguing left and right. At the end of the day, this debate really, for me, Vivek seemed like a star. He got so much airtime. But at the end of the day, Trump lived rent-free in their heads for almost the entire hour of the first debate. That's how I looked at this. And I'm not even, I founded Students for Trump. I have a bias, but I tried to be unbiased. I was like looking at this like, okay, they're not giving DeSantis as much time. They're not giving, Chris Christie for what he's worth. Everything was an attack on Vivek for the first hour and a response. And that's just how I look at it. Personally,
I never thought you'd say that, Ryan. I am absolutely shocked that Team Trump is saying that Trump was the real winner, but Vivek was the one that really shined. Trump could have done Tucker another day. And yeah, it is cool that Tucker's on Twitter. I mean, it is awesome that he's on this new medium, but he skipped the debate. I mean, this is a historical thing, and it's where Trump was the best. I mean, Trump was just great when he would get up there and debate in 2016. But now that he's got a record, he don't really want to talk about it. He could have done the Tucker thing another day. I hope DeSantis does the Tucker thing. But let's just face it, Trump is too afraid, and maybe it's the right move because he's looking at is the polls. That's all he seems to care about these days. Just the polls. They're obsessed with the polls.
Chris,
but,
let me tell you, it's not any of that. And Gorka could probably say the same thing. It has nothing to do with that. Let them eat themselves.
Right.
It is
Ryan, I don't know what debate
they ate themselves.
They did not spend that much.
Not a bad strategy.
Ryan, they didn't spend that much time on Trump. Like, honestly, let's be real. I don't even know if you watched the
No, they did. They lived rent free in his head, whether you believe it or not.
Listen, you had that line written this morning. Let's be real. Let's be real. You had that line written this morning. They spent
I don't write any lines, believe it or not. But
all right, Ryan.
Ryan. I don't write lines.
Let's level real quick. They spent one segment on Trump and then they kept it moving. And trust me, I was paying attention to that because I was really I was really concerned that they were going to spend a lot of time on Trump. They spent almost no time on Trump. I'm very impressed by the fact that they did what they needed to do with Trump and they kept it moving. Honestly, man, they spent more time on Pence than they did on Trump. Let's be real.
Everything was the past administration, though. Everything was Pence was the
they're not supposed to
administration
talk about
before.
the past
So it doesn't even
administration.
matter.
What world are you living in where you run for president and you can't talk about the past
So they
administration?
did
The
talk
last
about it.
time
You said it
a
was only one
Republican
week,
was
but
in the White
Pence
House.
was
you could
yeah,
probably
I
change
thought
your
they didn't talk
position.
about him,
So
Tim.
what are you talking about?
So listen, they
He
didn't
agrees with
mention
you,
Trump.
Ryan. Ignore him. He
They
doesn't
didn't
even know
mention
what he's
Trump by
saying. He
name
just
except for
agreed
that
with you.
one segment. So what are you talking about?
I
So all right,
listened to the
your
same thing
idea
you
here
They're
did.
not
is
sending
that
their best,
your
Ryan. This is
idea
what
here
you.
is
Your
that
pack
Trump
needs to hire some new people because you're
your
not sending
your
the
I'm
best.
not
your
going to
idea here
interrupt
is that
anymore. I'll
Trump
let you speak.
your
Everybody's
idea
talking.
here is that Trump needs to skip the debate because he's cowardly, and then he should also not his administration should not be held to account for the things that were done or not done during his administration. That's what you're saying, right? That's living rent free,
Exactly. No,
correct?
no, you're putting words in my mouth, which is typical of people who don't
Okay, well break it
understand
down
things.
for me then, Ryan. Break it down for me then.
We don't
Well,
have
I'll
enough
break
time
it
for you to
down for you in
understand.
the fact that this was an unprecedented thing that happened in our country. You have a virus that comes out of nowhere, which came from Wuhan, China, right? Which I believe fully that was done because China was not in Trump's best eyesight, right? Like he
So
put
we
an
hire
aim on
presidents
them.
just for the
He put an aim
precedented
on
things, not the
China,
unprecedented
and
things.
China didn't like Trump. And so they did something to make sure he wouldn't get elected again. I don't get why people don't get this. I don't understand why you can't look at the political timeline of how embargoes and trade tariffs and all this stuff were put on China. And then all of a sudden, out of China, you have a Wuhan virus where bats are coming. Right? Everybody's saying bats, right? People are doing things with bats. They're eating bats, whatever. You get the COVID virus, right? And then all of a sudden, you see this virus. And then you see the Democrats who do mail-in ballot. I don't know why anybody doesn't understand this shit. I really,
Well, Ryan,
the life
we
of me,
hire
do not
presidents.
understand
We hire
why you don't
presidents.
look at precedent.
Ryan,
Why
we
you
hire
don't look at
presidents
any of this.
for the unprecedented moments. There's only one person that gets to sit behind the resolute desk at a time. So when you're saying, well, this was unprecedented, I'm like, well, that's the job, dude. That's the job.
Well,
That's
did
what we
Obama
hired
do
him
anything
for.
about it? Did he supply any sort of resource? No, we had no resources for this. The swine flu was a joke
So helpless
compared
Trump.
to
You have to
this.
understand.
A joke.
You're going with the helpless Trump
He doesn't
argument.
remember that a number of Republicans went along with the hoax Ukraine impeachment, where the DOJ and FBI held exculpatory evidence proving Joe Biden's corruption in Ukraine. He doesn't. To him, that's not there. He forgets
Ron
the polls
DeSantis.
when a lot of people on the right went along with this crap. So he thinks everything's on Trump. Trump didn't have the cachet at that moment after he just beat impeachment that his own party tried to betray him. Yeah, he went after them in the primary.
you don't have the
You're
cachet.
welcome.
We
You're
agree
welcome.
on something.
He
We
primaried
agree
them.
on.
Sorry, guys, there's too many people talking at the same time. Khaleesi, do you want to play the next clip, and then we'll just to keep some structure into the conversation.
Yeah,
you know who
sure.
didn't go along with it, Prodigal? Ron DeSantis didn't go along
Actually, he
with
shut down. He
it.
shut down parts again in June. I mean, that's
No,
proof.
I'm
So
saying he
stop
stood
lying.
up for Trump.
He
I'm
bet
saying
Trump
he
never wanted to
stood up for
close.
Trump.
Look up Politico. Look up the New York Times. DeSantis wanted to quarantine New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. That's
Listen,
your guy
that's
who
not
fed
what
into
I'm
the
talking
early
about.
fear.
I'm telling
I'm
you.
glad he turned it around, but you can't lie to people. It's all documented. Just stop.
Listen, I was down here
why
the
didn't Trump
entire
shut down
time
Florida when
watching Ron
DeSantis opened
DeSantis
up?
take on
He
these
never
local
had the power
governments
to shut the
and take
country
on
down
Fauci.
or
I
open
mean,
it up.
Ron
He never
DeSantis
had the
is
power.
famous because of standing up to Fauci. Donald
Okay,
Trump
guys, let me
never
play
had
this
to shut the
clip,
country
please.
down. He
What are you
never
talking?
One
Such a
second, one
lie.
second.
This stupid
Let
fucking
me
lie.
play.
Let him keep going because it's not
Right,
working.
I
It's
don't
just
want every
desperation.
debate.
Prodigal, 1 second. Let me just play this clip. Let me play this clip quickly.
You're supposed to be getting us out of that horrible, horrible war that we're very much involved in with Russia and Ukraine. You could do that. You could do that very easily. I believe you could do that I don't believe he could do it because he's just incompetent. But that's a war that should end immediately, not because of one side or the other, because hundreds of thousands of people are being killed. Can you imagine you're in an apartment house and rockets are going into that building and blowing it up and knocking it down? And who can, why should anybody, human beings, these are human, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian or whatever they are, it's got to be stopped. And it can be stopped very easily. It would have never started. If I were president, it would have never started.
That's the end.
He sounds
But he couldn't stop the riots.
1 second, Chris, before you jump in. I will come to you, though. I actually come to you first, Chris, because I know you're not eager. So you asked the question, Chris, you asked the question why people are bothered. So this is an example of why people who are not American are bothered, because Ukraine and Russia is a foreign policy. Oh, Tim finds it funny that foreign policy, people from foreign countries might be bothered about foreign policy. But anyway.
Yeah, he's too big of a pussy to go over there and fight for anything
Tim's
he
not very
believes
smart,
in.
that's why. But anyway, coming back to the point, when it comes to foreign policy, then people who are foreign are concerned with it. And so what it shows is that when you listen to this, Trump and Vivek are demonstrating why their foreign policy would ensure that the war ended, lives were saved, all of us would live a better life, because we're struggling in the United Kingdom as well due to this Ukraine-Russia war. Whereas DeSantis has changed his view more times than you can say anything. I think he changed his view 2 or 3 times in a week last time. So when you got somebody who are warmongers and you got people who aren't warmongers, like do you get what I mean? And when I look at people in the right, they generally, I know it's not like that in the past, but now people in the right, generally speaking, are more inclined to be anti-war right now. They want it to be America first. They want to be anti-war, and that benefits us in the UK because, again, we don't want the war. We're struggling. Poor people are struggling in the UK as well. Poor people are struggling in the United States. So, Chris, Tim finds people struggling funny, but what's your thoughts on this?
Well, isn't that amazing that happened, that it's now Republicans that are the anti-war party? And if you see up in the Jumbotron, I put up there that Trump says if he doesn't make this magical thing happen and his Truth Social post demands aren't met and Putin and Zelensky don't get together and sing Kumbaya within like the first day of his presidency, he's going to send more weapons and more money to Ukraine. We have got to stop funding.
Yeah, it's called a carrot and stick,
Ukraine. Right? So he said this, and Ron DeSantis says,
real question. Chris,
we didn't have these problems until Biden took over, by the way.
No, those problems were there. Those problems were there. They were there.
Trump set it all in motion.
Guys. Let me ask Chris a question. Chris, real question. Like, I get, again, what the thing is, but real question. Did he say that? Because I'm not seeing the whole clip. Did he say that he's going to...
It's up there in the Jumbotron,
no,
and
I've
Trump
seen it.
makes...
Chris, let me ask you a question. Chris!
Well, can I answer?
Well, how can you answer when I'm not even asking the question? Right. So, Chris, the question to you is: Did he answer that question in the context of generally he's going to send more weapons to Ukraine, he's going to blast Russia out, or was it in the context of if Russia do not be amiable to some kind of resolution, then he will send more weapons? Like, what was the context? I've not seen the video.
The context was that Donald Trump is going to get all this solved in 24 hours. But if that doesn't happen, then he's going to make sure to send more arms and more money to Ukraine. Sorry, I might have believed in him 4 years ago or 8 years ago. But no, he lied about going after Hillary Clinton. He makes empty promises. Ron DeSantis, on the other hand, says the blank check policy to Ukraine is going to stop when he becomes president. He's going to make Europe, which maybe this is why you guys don't like DeSantis as much, but he said he's going to make Europe pay their fair share and the NATO countries pay their fair share because, and this, by the way, is a Trump policy. This was one of the policies that I majorly agreed with Trump on, but right now the U.S. is funding this whole thing that's going on in Ukraine, and it's actually being used as a money laundering operation for the Bidens. So Ron DeSantis, I believe, is the one who will stop this and will bring this to an end and make Europe pay their fair share. And Donald Trump, I don't know what the hell the guy's going to do. He'll say,
"No, you're right, Chris. You're right." Like,
here comes the excuses, Chris. Here they come.
Yeah. Here's the excuse. I'll give you one, Tim, because I know you said you found it funny when people are struggling. But yeah, Europe don't want.
That's not what I said.
But you were laughing when I said it. So Europe, it's the opposite, Chris. Like myself and many others. I'm not saying this is the whole of Europe, but myself, we don't want the war. People are struggling. People are dying. People, and we don't want that. So it's not that we don't want to pay for it. I'm saying there shouldn't be a Ukraine-Russia war in the first place. So that's where we probably disagree with DeSantis.
No, but Suleiman, I agree with you on that 100%, Suleiman, 100%.
What wars did Trump end while he was in office?
Anyway, let me go to...
well, it didn't start.
Nobody knows.
So that's something. That's the first time.
It actually takes a little bit of skill to end a war.
That's the first time I've ever been that. And as far as
he ended the war in Afghanistan.
He pulled through that. I just want to say something. I've been listening for a while, and you're all loading up DeSantis. Let me say something, right? DeSantis was the guy that stood in torture chambers in Guantanamo and advocated and watched people get tortured. The fact that you're sitting here propagating that he's going to have some sort of just and fair
This
foreign
is
policy, you're
MSNBC now, right?
deluded.
This is MSNBC now.
He's
We're
an
gonna do
establishment
the
show.
races
Don't
He
now.
has
We're gonna do the
service in
races now.
Guantanamo Bay.
Conspiracy
That's on
If
the
you
record.
think, Tim, sorry, 1 second, Doc. If you think, Tim, this is propaganda, I suggest you educate yourself and go and have
No,
a
I'm
look at
educated.
the
I'm
official
educated.
court documents. No, I'm not here to answer your questions. I'm here to tell you what I think.
You're arguing
Go
on
Google
behalf
it,
of.
have a look. If you don't know this and you're propagating for DeSantis, then I suggest you go and educate yourself.
No, you should go ahead and educate yourself, Your Majesty.
He
You're
has
wrong.
done that,
Okay.
and this is in
Keep real.
official court documents. Governments have had to pay out compensation, and you know the man who was overseeing it was DeSantis. DeSantis is an
DeSantis
establishment
oversaw
chill,
torture, is what
and
you're
he will
saying.
have more cause if he
No, he
comes in
couldn't have
than
done it.
anybody
He
else.
was a junior officer. He answered
Junior
this question. He
officer
was a junior
oversaw
officer.
torture. Like
He
you
was
know
an
how
attorney
ridiculous you
for the
sound right now?
JAG. He was an attorney for
They
JAG.
have
All
to
right,
go to
guys,
these
guys. Let me
conspiracies.
just 1 second. Everyone keeps screaming out. Let me go to Chief, and Chief's sending me waves as well. Go ahead, Chief.
Well, I'll make a couple of points about DeSantis. He did say in a town hall about a week or so ago that he's going to go into third world countries that have become hotbeds. But a little more in detail is about this entire thing.
Chief, I missed that. I didn't get your point. You're going to go to third world countries and do what?
DeSantis said at town hall, we're going to go into these third world countries that have become hotbeds of anti-Semitism. He's going to go into a lot of these areas that he wants to based on his policies. I can put the clip in the. I'll put it up right here.
He didn't say that. What are you talking about?
Where did he say that?
My goodness, these
One
conspiracy
thing
theories.
I
They're
didn't
just
like
making it up
during
right
the
now.
debate was that how he said he was deployed with these green berets and all this stuff. He was a lawyer. He's an attorney. He wasn't. So I mean,
he served his country. I mean, the guy. I'm proud of him for serving his country.
I am. I'm proud of him, but I feel like it's misrepresentation to say that you deployed with all these other individuals when you really didn't deploy
No,
with
he
them.
said
You were sitting
alongside.
in a
Yes, he
nice
did.
bubble.
Yes, he did. He was
Those are the words he
attached. He was attached to
He
SEAL
was
Team
banging in the
2.
doors.
Yeah, hold on.
Guys. I told you these are the hardest debates to do, and it's like 6 a.m. here. But anyway, let's go. Let me ask. And we're going to wrap it up soon. So let me just.
He was a PP checker. He watched your analysis test to detect it.
Doc, let me ask a question. So, Doc, to you, let me ask you this question. Because everyone's going to scream once you scream. So, listen. CNN. Whoa. Well, so CNN just sent. I just seen the news. It just flashed in front of me, and it said it was Vivek against everybody, and basically Trump won or something like that. Oh no, sorry. Basically, no, it wasn't. It was Vivek against everybody, and DeSantis just did not stand out. I know you're going to agree with that, but my question to you is, what does it say that someone like CNN is saying that, Doc?
Well, I think that's reflective of the fact that CNN changed ownership beginning of last year, and they've been moving slowly, steadily to the right, or actually to the center. And they've got a long way to go. But I think the first sign of that I saw that I really trusted that there was a change that was the one-on-one that they did with Trump early on. And they obviously had that evil woman, nasty woman, try to go after him. But it was a ratings boom for them, and they're in it to make money. So I think CNN is just trying to be fairer. Not that they're fair.
It had nothing to do with the Trump team meeting with Dana Bash and CNN at a steakhouse before the debate and going over talking points. It had nothing to do with that, Doc.
I mean, y'all move from CNN sucks to CNN is great and CNN is right wing. That's what a listless vessel is, man. You have no anchor whatsoever. You literally will move with the wind based on who's being nice to your guy in the moment.
Keep it up.
How ridiculous are you?
Wait, can I well, the point though, again, I put the receipt
Chief,
up.
Chief, where is the evidence for what you said? Because obviously...
I put Jumbotron. It's in a Jumbotron.
Oh.
So
I mean,
I have a quote
it's
there.
embarrassing. DeSantis is making the same mistakes as Romney and Hillary Clinton, and his surrogates are doing it here.
Wow,
In self-debate. It didn't serve Romney well. It didn't serve Clinton well. But you guys are so smart. You're making rookie mistakes.
Wait,
are you feeling Sir Prodigal?
So let me go.
Not at all.
Guys. So I want to go to Chief because he was midway, and then Tim and Chris jumped in and said he was lying. He's now posted the evidence on the nest for what he said, and it did say that. So yeah, I mean, it's based on what he posted. It looks like DeSantis is willing to go into foreign wars in third world countries based on anti-Semitism. So get ready for more wars according to this. But Chief, continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, and this whole thing about the debate, it's very funny hearing these DeSantis people talking about we need Trump and they're entitled to Trump and all that. Where I want to see Trump in the debate and see him smack people around, sure, I love to see that, but he's at 60%, 50% of the polls. He's going to spend his Wednesday night with 5% people in the polls, attacking him the entire time. It's really, quite honestly, it's a bit entitled for
what
the way.
race is he at 60% in?
Because
you're talking about entitled. Trump's entitled.
But Chief, what race is he at 60% in?
Being interrupted again by people.
No, answer the question. What race is he at 60% in?
Let me land my plane because I've been quiet listening to you guys talk.
Why are you scared to answer the question? What race is he at?
Why are you being such a racist, Tim?
Why do you think everybody's
Let the white guy talk.
Tim? Nobody's scared. Relax.
Everybody's scared of Tim, apparently.
I mean, y'all running from my questions like some baby back.
Nobody's running. You just
What do you mean by you all?
Tim. What Chief I think is citing is that in the YouGov poll, Trump is at 60% when he's direct and DeSantis at 23%. In the other YouGov poll, in the Rasmussen report, Trump is at 49%. Vivek is ahead of DeSantis. So
Suma, I know you guys are from the UK, but we don't have national. Hold on, we don't have national primaries here. I don't know what race you're talking about. We have state by state primaries.
We didn't say it was a national primary. I'm just explaining to you what the polls are saying because you were trying to be facetious in your question, and just like you tried to.
Why don't you just answer me directly?
Tim,
why don't you just answer me directly?
Let me finish my point. I'm going to answer because you're being quite
rude. You're citing national polls.
No, I didn't
we
say
don't have a national Republican primary.
Name one poll DeSantis has been 25. Since you're asking all the questions, name one he's been 25.
Iowa, goofball. Iowa.
Tim,
he's down 20 points in Iowa. What are you talking about?
Tim, I was reciting a poll to you, and the problem with you is you try and basically your game is you try.
No, you're not answering my question.
I'm going to answer your question.
Where is the national Republican primary? Tell me
Mute
him. 1 second. I'm answering your question. Just like you got caught lying when you questioned Chief, and then he's put the evidence on the board. I literally told you. Yeah, you got exposed, guys. It was embarrassing.
No.
The AF post. Chief embarrassed you so badly. It was embarrassing.
The AF post.
The Chief embarrassed you really badly.
What is the AF post?
That's a highly edited I'm talking about the Rasmussen report.
That's a 4-second clip out of context that he posted. I get it. He's in all that America First.
Me and you,
Trump's polling at like 44% in Iowa, while DeSantis is about 15%.
Me and you, real quick. Since you're
right. Ryan, go ahead, Ryan.
Since you're citing Rasmussen polls,
no, I mean I'm not citing Rasmussen. I'm citing the Des Moines Register, which is citing many polls where they say Trump is at about 45%, DeSantis is 19%. So I mean, all the logic here is thrown out the door.
Trump's scared.
So hold on, let me
Can you actually name one where he's in with 25%?
Go Google it yourself. Everybody needs to Google things. I can send you.
I know the answer. I'm just looking at.
Listen, guys. Oh my God.
That's a far cry from the 60% that my man said that he was at. That Trump was at.
Yeah. So the point I was trying to make for the time, they're after Trump sound bites. They're after little clips of them owning Trump, and they're like, "Wow, we got Trump." Yeah. But then look at the polls and it's like 50% Trump. But it's just very.
Yeah. Chief. It's just like basically Tim being a baby. Like you said 60%, and let's say you showed 48 or 49 or 50.
Talking about?
You said 60%.
Historically,
you need to grow up, Tim. Like
the Iowa caucuses
does, like 60%.
Historically, if you would listen for a second, UK. Historically, the Iowa caucuses have been decided in the last 2 weeks.
His main point is bro. You need to stop interrupting. You're like the rudest guy I know on this space. What Chief's point is, and that's why we can't even have a conversation because you just interrupt every single person who talks.
No. I've been interrupted about 1 million times. I get talked over.
Stop. You can't even talk on this space without this guy. Like, he doesn't shut up. What my point is what in terms of when you're being rude and being facetious and pedantic, his point isn't exactly 60%. His point is that Trump is winning in by significant numbers. Now, you've been a baby and saying 60% rather than 58%, rather than 49%. It's irrelevant. He is saying, based on the polls, they're destroying. That's the whole point. You don't need to be facetious on small little issues. Now, guys, this space has been exhausting because every few seconds, certain people were interrupting and it was hard to talk about anything. We were actually going to go through a number of clips of Trump's interview with Tucker Carlson.
There's a big difference
Oh
between
my
being
God,
60% and.
What is this guy on?
Stop being such a
Can I
scared.
just say
Stop being such a scared little
Let me
woman,
say one
Solomon, and let
thing.
me respond, man.
Listen,
Like
Tim,
just
come on.
relax.
Just
Right,
kick
okay,
him off.
I don't know.
Tim, what are you on about? Anyone could do what you're
Tim.
doing. Literally, all it is just talking and not cutting you off. That just sounds
So
like a
listen.
dog.
So listen.
Like, oh no, I'll carry on talking, not let
I'm
the other person
responding.
talking.
I'm
That means I'm winning
responding.
the debate.
I'm
Look, I'm
responding to
talking
Chief,
while you're
man.
talking. That means I'm winning the debate. Oh my God, look.
Don't be a baby.
You can't even finish because I'm not finishing. I'm not finishing. You're not finishing. So that means I'm
I
winning
get
the
that you
debate.
guys
It
are
don't work like
upsetting.
that,
Tim,
Tim.
you're
Like,
really
I'll carry on
upsetting
talking
him.
like you're talking.
I mean, I really am upsetting him.
Tim.
Right. Anyway,
I got.
Ryan, what were you gonna say?
I got
I
Suleiman
was
acting
just
out
going
of
to say
character,
this.
man.
You know, we've done many of these spaces before. We all know how to conduct ourselves, all right?
Exactly.
So let's just, everybody who's here, you know, Tim might have not have been here before. I don't know, but we all know how to conduct ourselves. Let's do it in a peaceful way. Let's do it in a conductful way. All right, guys?
So Ryan,
You know, we're all
with
here
that in mind,
together.
can I
Let's do
respond
it.
to you real quick, Ryan? Do you mind?
Go ahead, Tim.
Would you?
Go ahead.
We're about to wrap up, and he wanted us to wrap up, right? Okay, so listen, guys.
Yeah.
Ryan,
he
I
broke
want to wrap
you.
up.
Tim Cool broke you guys.
Chris, I thought you had to leave like an hour ago. Did the debate go that
Look
bad? You had
look
to
up in the jumbotron. For this
Right,
one
guys.
poll to be true, you have to believe Trump is now +8 with women, which he lost by 11 points. You have to believe Trump is +15 with Gen Z, which he lost by 20 points, and Biden is at 12 plus with independents. These polls are hilarious. And when do we do an election?
Why don't you look at the
based on
donors?
polls?
Trump has 8 times the donors as DeSantis. Is that
All right,
made up
we'll
too?
see, guys.
Is that,
We'll see, guys.
why
I gotta go.
is
We'll see you in
DeSantis'
Iowa.
average
Okay. All right.
from
Thanks
big
for hosting
donors?
the
Why does
space,
he only have
Suleiman.
about 50, 60,000? Trump is
All right.
approaching 500,000.
Have
Is that
fun
made up
watching
too?
all your little
Are those
clips
half a million?
of
Those
your
8 times
god
donors
Trump.
he has? Is that made up too? Where are all the donors?
Oh my
But
God.
Hey,
you just tell
guys.
lies and you expect people to believe it, but they don't believe it. It's sad.
All right. Well, I believe that as much as I believe these polls. Yeah, you guys have a great night. Okay. Thanks for hosting, Suleiman. Have a great night, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, just I want to wrap up now anyway, but that guy wouldn't let me wrap up. So when I'm about to wrap up, Ryan, like a real question, and is this: if one didn't know the names of the people on the podium, I mean, and you saw what happened on the podium, like when it came to Ron DeSantis, he just did not stand out. And not only did he stand out, you wouldn't even put him in the top 3 or top 5, in my opinion. Like Vivek shone really well. There's a number of people who shone really well. I'm not just saying because Vivek's thingy, but like I disagree with Vivek on a number of issues. I even asked him some very tough questions when he came on this space here. So I'm not like some kind of like Vivek stan, but he did really well. So what's your thoughts on that, Ryan?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I don't agree a lot. You know, there's a lot of questions with Vivek. I think there's a lot of indiscrepancies too. And I think that has to be sorted out. Not the time now, right? But I think Vivek stood out among all of the candidates, to be honest with you. I think they were all attacking him. I made a tweet on this. I put it out probably about an hour ago. And I said everyone was attacking Vivek and Vivek was defending himself. DeSantis barely got any airtime. You had, Nikki Haley. She's always there. AIDS Hutchinson, I call him that. He's there, right? It's like you have like Chris Christie, who can take a hoagie down the throat with no problem with a cannoli. You always have these certain people who show up every presidential election because they want to collect data. They want money. That's it. You have a certain amount of candidates on the stage who don't even know. They know they're not going to win, but they're there to get your money. They're there to run their donors in a circle because they want to make money. That's it. And that's this game. It's sad. And I want all the people in this space to know that. I really do, because I understand this system now that I've been through it. I've seen it. There are so many candidates who just go out there, raise money. They don't mean shit, right? Excuse my language. They don't mean shit. And that's what we're seeing right now. And Vivek was the most outstanding candidate on that stage. And if I were with President Trump right now, I would tell him, I would say, let's look into Vivek and let's consider him to be either cabinet or a vice president. That's how I look at that. I'm not there all the time, but that's how I look at that. Be honest with you.
Go ahead, Quincy.
Yeah, so I'm just getting confused. This was like the point where the DeSantis people screamed for like 20 minutes and I didn't have to
Yeah,
ask.
bro. They both left. They were talking over each other at a certain point.
Confused, man.
Yeah, they were arguing with each other. I don't even think they realized it.
But the funny
But
thing,
let me go to. I'm about to wrap up. So Tom, you jumped on the stage. What's your thoughts about today? You had basically the debate, the GOP debate, and then you had Trump's interview with Carlson. There's a lot of interesting points from there. Some really good interview points. What's your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I think Vivek sounds like he did pretty well over there, holding his own. Ron DeSantis didn't necessarily shoot himself in the foot, but didn't do himself any favors. Long story short, today is the first day of the end of this campaign for anyone whose name isn't Donald Trump. That's the long and the short here. Trump totally set himself apart from everyone today by doing what he did with Tucker Carlson. It was brilliant. It was genius. It was the best move he could possibly make at this point. Any consultant, any campaign manager that would be working for him, if it was me, anyone with their head screwed on straight would tell him, listen, this is what you have to do. You don't debate, don't show up to debate. And likewise, if you were working for DeSantis or Vivek, you would give them the advice that they probably got, and they did the best that they could, but it's not going to matter. None of that's going to matter. Donald Trump's going to ride this thing out. Same thing with Ken Paxton. That Karl Rove and George P. Bush, they tried for like hell to get rid of Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton won 66% of his primary, won his general election, no problem. Donald Trump is going to blow the primary out of the water. And if you look at the polling lately, between Trump and Biden, it's a lot closer than it's ever been. And so this is not 2020. People really need to pay attention right now. And we got to go out and get more Republicans registered. What Scott Pressler does is extremely important. I recommend everybody keep the momentum up. This is a very positive day for everybody that's a Republican, I believe. And I believe we're one step closer to building the party up to a point where we need to be, to where we can secure this election from Donald Trump. It's going to be a real fight. This isn't going to be a gimme for the Democrats at all. This is going to be a great contest, and we'll see if Joe Biden even makes it all the way. We'll see. But thank you for having me up here. I really appreciate it. And I think that in the next week or so, we'll see better numbers for Trump. Trump will go up in the polls. The rest of these guys will start to falter. They're going to lose money. People are going to have to drop out. They're going to run out of gas. Lots of big things coming in the upcoming weeks. And thanks again for having me. Appreciate it.
I just wanted to say one thing. And Tom, I thank you so much for that. I just want to say one thing, because he brought up Ken Paxton. And this has been a fight that I've been involved in for a minute. I encourage you, look at my Twitter, follow me, whatever. But I just retweeted a tweet about Ken Paxton and what they're doing to him right now in Texas. Dade Phelan, a drunk, washed out politician, Bush Rhino, is working. He's already impeached him. His trial is set for the 28th for Ken Paxton. They basically suspended him of all of his abilities. I encourage you to look out for that, what's going on the 28th in Texas, because that is very major, because the Democrats have taken advantage of it, and now they're gutting voter laws and everything else when it comes to voter protections in Texas. So look out for Ken Paxton. Keep that on your radar. That's all I had to say. Thank you, guys.
The Bush political machine is behind that attack on Ken Paxton. Whether it's earned or not, the Bushes are pushing it.
Yep.
That's right.
Bush Republicans, the establishment Republicans, 100%. That's what we're dealing with. Keep a lookout on that, guys, because we need to protect Ken, because he has been a stalwart for America First policies.
Yes, definitely. And we'll know within the first few weeks of September, the trial is going to begin. It won't take too long. And if you really want to know what's going on, go follow Texas Scorecard. There's a big video that came out. Ryan, I don't know if you saw that.
Amen.
Yeah, and send that out. Everybody needs to see that so they can understand about Dade Phelan and how big of a slime ball he is. I wouldn't bother you with this stuff normally, but this is some of the dirtiest stuff in America that's going on. So thank you, Ryan, for preaching it and leading that fight.
Yes, sir.
Right, guys,
yes, sir. We're going to do it.
Yeah, brilliant. And guys, appreciate you joining today for the marathon. We had the Prigozhin death, which we covered for a number of hours, and then we moved and shifted the debate and the Tucker Carlson Trump interview. It's been a mad was it 12, 13, 14 hours where it's been. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you again. I think same time tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, because we got the football show, Soccer for Americans, 10 p.m. 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. UK. Ryan, last thoughts before we wrap up?
I will say this. I think the debate stage was crowded. It wasn't as crowded as 2016, but I will say this. President Trump proved himself in the 4 years. He fought the establishment. I look at Jimmy Carter, all right? He wasn't a great president, but in his latter years, he went out and he built homes for people. He did what he could to provide, to make up for it, right? I look at President Trump in a different way. I look at this guy as an outsider who took on the system in ways that you could never see ever before, ever in the history of this country. He took on something that people never even dared to take on because that was the government. That was what existed before him, even. And he knew what he was taking on. He understood it. But he took it on in a way that we've never seen before. And now we are seeing an unprecedented government overreach to where they are targeting his attorneys. They are targeting attorney-client privilege. They are attacking people. Myself, I've received probably about 5 subpoenas. I've been investigated by the FBI for things in the Trump administration. I've been questioned by things by the FBI on the Trump administration. I've had to spend about $200,000 in legal fees. I'm only 27 years old, by the way. So this has been a roller coaster for me, but it's worth it. It is 100% worth it because this country is worth saving, and we need to bring God back to this country. And when Reba McEntire sang that song, Bring This Country Back to God, it struck me in the heart. And I was only in college at the time when that song came out, but it struck me. And then you hear this song, Richmond, North of Richmond. I cry every time I hear that song because I experienced Washington, D.C. I saw the corruption in Washington, D.C. I saw the leverage people had in that city. I saw all of it. It's D.C. for ugly people. It's Hollywood for ugly people. And it's true. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a corrupt bureaucracy, and Donald Trump is the person that I fully believe. I do not commit myself to anybody unless I fully believe in what they do. You will never see me advertise some sweater or some MAGA shirt to make money. I will never do that. That is not who I am. But I will 100% defend somebody who stands for me, stands for what I believe in, and stands for this country. And I will never give that up. And that's why I'm in this fight. I'm not a grifter. I'm not any of that shit. I'm not a Bill Mitchell. I'm not any of that. I am somebody who wants this country to be better than it was than we left it. I want my kids to grow up in a country that is better than where my mom raised me. I didn't grow up in a rich family. Grew up in a middle-class family, built my way up. And so when I see President Trump and I see what he's done for this country, it resonates with me. It resonates with my family because we've been through it. We dealt with Obama. We dealt with the financial crisis, my mother not having a job. We dealt with all of that. And Trump made this country people in my family, Democrat, made this country better than it was before. And I'll leave it at that. He is the man for the job. And he has righteous indignation in his system to fight these fucks. Sorry for my language. Fight these fucks. Because that is the only thing we can do. Fannie Willis, all of them. Retribution is coming. I'll leave it at that. God bless you guys.
Amen.
Appreciate you, Ryan. Thank you. I think that's a good point to end. So I appreciate you guys joining and listening to us. And then tomorrow we'll be here back for the football show.